All right, so welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Susan Durnan and I am the administration lead of the Mississauga Arts Council. I'd like to thank you so much for joining us today for day 2 of our TD Culture Lab Explore Publishing Workshop, sponsored by TD Bank Group and presented by Mississauga Arts Council in collaboration with Courtney Park Writers Group and Mississauga Writers Group. Just a couple of little Zoom housekeeping. So we figured out how to mute and turn our videos off. If you want to change the view that you're seeing, there's a button in the top right-hand corner, and you can click for speaker view or gallery. And for questions, we'll have the chat open. That's down in the bottom. Feel free to type in your question. We will be moderating it and using the chat area to feed questions to the presenters. So please feel free to, as it goes along, feel free to add your questions there. All right, so TD Culture Lab Explore Publishing is the 2-day virtual workshop. Today, we will learn all about self and indie and traditional publishing through panel discussions with industry leaders. If you missed day 1, don't worry, the videos are available on the Mississauga Arts Council YouTube page, and you can learn more at mississaugaartscouncil.com. The Mississauga Arts Council is dedicated to enabling the growth of the arts by creating opportunity and connection between artists and residents in Mississauga and beyond. Celebrating our milestone 40th anniversary this year, the Mississauga Arts Council is a registered charity dedicated to accelerating progress toward the attainment of our vision of Mississauga as a vibrant cultural community where arts and culture thrive. Our mission is to empower the arts economy by creating more opportunities and capacity, connecting artists to audiences and each other, and celebrating artists' achievements. We would like to acknowledge that the land on which we gather is part of the treaty lands and territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit and the traditional territory of the Anishinaabeg, Huron-Wendat, Haudenosaunee, Ojibwe Chippewa, Métis, and most recently, the territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, who are direct descendants of the Mississaugas of the Credit. All right, let's get started. So please welcome Elizabeth Banfalvi of the Mississauga Writers Group, who will moderate the Self and Indie Publishing panel discussion.
All right, the first thing I'm going to do is read Doug Mackey's bio. He's from the PointOne Graphics, Inc. And he's definitely the one you would go to if you want to go straight to a printer for your book. Doug Mackey has been in the print industry for over 30 years and 14 of them with PointOne Graphics, Inc. PointOne began its operation in 1988 in a 700 square foot copy shop and now runs a 70,000 square foot Etobicoke plant. The growth happened because the owners realized the importance of printing in-house and now have clients all over North America. A key part of PointOne's commitment to responsible forest involves offering paper products that are manufactured with wood fibers from well-managed forests. PointOne is also FSC registered chain of custody certified. FSC registered C008820. The FSC logo identifies products that contain wood from responsibly managed forests, independently certified. PointOne Graphics, Inc. is ISO FSC certified and is a member of the DMA and CMA. As an author, we do have options when we want and when and how we want to get published. A first-time author might not be aware of them, but as they publish more books, they discover what else is available. The process is always the same. The book and cover are prepared and an ISBN number is added. Then it is printed at a print house. If you order it from the States, then exchange, shipping, and customs are added. The other differences are with the indie and traditional publisher. It is usually genre-driven and a contract needs to be signed. What happens when the author takes it to a print house as part of their process? The author's work and promo are 100%, but the costs are lower and reprinting is easier. With an indie or traditional publisher, it could be 50%, and you wait for your royalties, and inventory has to be ordered from them. Jay Kenna from Modern Mississauga, a local magazine, introduced me to Doug Mackey from PointOne Graphics Inc., a local print house. Doug will be able to answer some following questions about the process and what to expect. Welcome, Doug.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. Appreciate it very much.
The first question is, you print from book and cover files. How long does it take from start to finish for a printed book?
There's a number of different factors involved in order to do a timeline situation on that. And that's basically the page count, the binding method. I'm not sure who I'm speaking to as far as a knowledgeable base in regards to the print industry itself. So if there's any terms or whatever that I'm saying that no one understands, they can send a chat and I'll try and cover that off. But basically, you have a number of binding options. You have a saddle stitch book, which is basically similar to this type of situation right here. With the two staples and booked in that like that. You also have perfect binding, which is this type of situation as well. And we also have what's called coiling, either plastic coiling or wire. So there's a number of different options. And because of those different options, there's obviously some timelines involved. With a saddle stitch book, from an approval situation, you're probably looking around 6 to 8 days from a turnaround perspective. There again, depending on the quantities. If you're only talking, 50 copies, it may only be a number of days. If you're talking 1,000 or 10,000 or 100,000, it could be on the higher, the more days kind of thing. It could be the 8-day situation. When you're talking perfect binding or wiro binding, then you're looking at a 10 to 14-day window, because there's more involved in that than just a standard saddle stitch booklet.
Okay, how being that we are just authors, we're not a large company, how are the charges handled? Do you do it by credit card or e-transfer?
Yep. Yeah, we can do either from a credit cards or e-transfer.
And you do give out an invoice with it, right?
Yep.
Yes.
We will send you an electronic invoice.
Yes, perfect. The charges are all about, and the charges about a book are usually about the number of pages and and whether they're colored or black and white printing in, and the cover. If there is another finishing product like a laminate coating on it, those are the different charges that will be added onto it, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Any of the things are just not a standard kind of situation, such as a lamination, as you say. Yeah.
That's what I always have, mainly because with the Mississauga Writers Group, I like a little bit of a different texture on the cover rather than just glossy.
Right, right.
So our next question is, the design of the front and back cover is an important component to the overall look and saleability of the book. Do you have a graphic designer, or can you recommend one?
We don't have graphic designers in-house. What we are is a print shop whereby we get the files in. They're already pre-done. They've already been proofed and everything else. We get those and then just go from there. And it's literally hit the button and go. So from a design aspect, you need to obviously go to a graphic designer. So I do have one person that I could suggest to you, and perhaps some others after that. Elizabeth Wise from Wise Idea Inc. is someone that Jay used quite often with his magazine. That's an option for you itself.
Okay. The next question is, how has COVID-19 impacted your business, and how have you been able to work around this?
Interesting. Yeah. We're considered an essential service because of the fact that we print for not only the pharmaceutical industry, but also the food industries as well. So when everything started to close down, we downsized for a period because it literally got to a point where it was just like a light switch. people were ordering, and then all of a sudden the next day, nothing coming by. Because people at that point didn't know how to handle it, the whole situation that was going on. It's all new to everyone. But just with the relationships we've built up and everything with our clients over the years, we just continue on with their assistance and go from there. One of the things that we have implemented, actually we've implemented it before, but it's sort of more of an upfront now situation, is we created an online print shop. I don't know if I mentioned this to you, Elizabeth, but it's called P1 Express. And it's basically everything is done online. The people go on there, if they want a brochure, they hit a brochure. If they want a business cards, they hit business cards, and so on and so forth, all the way through. So that's obviously created some revenue for us by opening that kind of situation. So.
Okay. And this is something I know. There is a large difference between a print house and a local printer. Like I know I had a local printer on promo cards and all that, but he still had to send it to a print house to get it done. And then so you're looking at two, a middleman, which you would have had the charges from both of them. So and you are definitely a print house.
Correct.
Can you tell us can you tell us the difference between that, the different machines they have?
That's the exact situation itself. We have everything that we need in-house, as far as not only from the pre-press department, as far as outputting plates for our presses. We have large presses that are on the floor. We have 40-inch 8-color presses. We have what's considered a web press, which is for a large run application, for if you're doing 100,000 magazines or 200,000 magazines or 500,000 postcards, that type of idea. We have that capability in-house as well. We have all cutting, we have folding, we have stitching, laminating. There's a number of other things, but that's about it that I can come up with right now.
Yeah, and I would say that the local printer has maybe a little bit more than a photocopier, but they don't have all the different things that you would be able to do with printing. All right, good.
Yeah.
And the next question is, are there any new trends emerging in the printing industry that you would like to tell us about?
Well, as I mentioned before, the companies tend to specialize in particular areas, such as if they were doing packaging or pharmaceuticals or magazines. They are specializing in that particular area. There's more of a print on demand. It used to be a scenario whereby people would order 10,000 books, let's say, whereas now they may only order 1,000 books and give multiple orders of 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. So it's less inventory, less costs. So there is obviously a price difference between ordering 1,000 and 10,000, but it's not just sitting on the floor doing nothing kind of thing. So it sort of gives you that kind of flexibility. The situation with the P1 Express, there again, it gives people flexibility that they can go online, that they can order those business cards, they can order those brochures, and it's all done through a credit card. Boom, there you go, you're done. It can be shipped to you, you can pick up, and no one has to. There's no interaction. There's no. It's all done over the computer, over the phone, and away you go.
Yeah, good. Okay, the other thing you talked about 1,000 copies and all that. How about if I only wanted 50 copies of my book? Would that be feasible?
Absolutely. We have digital copiers, Ricoh copiers, that will do saddle stitching inline, that will do perfect binding inline. So if you were doing something that you only wanted 50 copies or 25 copies, 100 copies, not a problem.
And the other thing you talked about one time that I didn't realize is at one point in time, the perfect binding didn't do either a very large book, like a 400-page book, or a very small book.
Right.
But now you're saying that there's they're doing it like that, and it's
Yeah.
perfectly, perfect copy and all that.
Absolutely. It's called it's called a PUR glue, which is stronger adhesive, the whole bit, so that you can in fact do ones that have multiple pages. Because in a perfect bound book, if you've got 400 pages, all of a sudden you open it up like this and it's going to get cracked in the middle and it'll just fall apart. So that's why when you have that larger page count or that smaller page count, either way it goes, it assists in that way. So we don't have any issues with that. There's also, I mean, I could continue on in regards to the perfect binding, because there's standard perfect binding, then there's lay flat binding, which basically allows you to open up the book and it lays flat, because it's got additional pieces on the actual cover, which allows it to do that, gives that flexibility. There again, everything that I tell you, it just adds and adds and adds to the price of the particular book that you're doing.
Perfect. Well, we're actually getting quite a few questions in for you, but the last question that I wanted to ask is, why is the commitment to the environment for sustaining responsible forest important to your company?
It's important because PointOne itself prides itself in the fact that we are FSC certified. Anything we can do to help out the environment. With the FSC standards, you have specific chain of custody of paper itself. So in other words, a mill would go to has a forest area, gets the trees from there, the wood from there, created pulp creates the paper in turn from rolls become sheets come over, and they come to a printer such as I am here. So the fact that it's well maintained forests that where this stuff is coming from. In other words, they are reforestation. There's reforestation projects going on all the time. There's an additional cost to the FSC paper, but that's where that additional cost goes. It goes to the funding of those projects themselves.
All right, thank you. That's the end of our questions, but I've got quite a few on the chat line already. And the first question is, what format has to be supplied to the printer? As an example, PDF, and that would be the files that they send.
That would be, high res, print ready PDFs.
All right.
And single pages as well. You know how when you're creating a book and you're doing it, and we classify that as reader spreads. So in other words, page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever. When you're actually printing a book that has multiple pages in it, it's done in sections. So in other words, page 1, if you're doing a 48-page book, you do 1 and 48, 2 and 47, that type of idea. So I kind of lost my concentration there. Where was I?
Sound like me?
Yeah.
No, it was just, what kind of files do you have to send to a printer?
Right. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. So we like to have single pages come to us, because what happens when it comes into our previous department, we impose it the way that it's supposed to run on the press itself. So it's best to give us a single page. If you give us reader spreads, we actually have to break the file down to create single pages.
Yeah, and especially with what's you were talking about, the saddle stitch, which an author would maybe call a chap book, CHAP.
Right.
So which they have a different, because it's opposing pages when it's final, because there's no division in the middle.
Correct.
So that's a little bit different, but you would correct that, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
And then what we do from that is we in turn send back proofs, either digitally or we can create hard copy proofs for the client to sign off on. Oh,
good. And the second one was, they just asked it again, can you share the cover designer info on the chat with us? And somebody, what was her name again?
Elizabeth Wise.
Elizabeth Wise.
Okay. Yeah, I can. She's from Wise Idea Inc. is the name of her company. Mm-hmm. And website is design@wiseidea.ca. So it's DESIGN at WISEIDEA.ca.
Yeah, if anybody has a trouble having Doug's information, send me at Elizabeth, or sorry, send it to me at Mississauga Writers Group, and I'll get in touch. I'll forward it to him. All right. Okay. Will the current huge escalation in lumber costs affect your cost to customers?
Unfortunately, yes. I mean, every time something like that happens,
Yeah.
it just flows down the chain. We have, we were informed. They usually give us about a month's notice as to when there's going to be some paper changes. It's costing. Paper has tended to, over the last couple of years, has tended to kind of go down. But over the last number of months ago, it seems to be going back up again. And because we had a paper increase in February, and now we have another one coming up May the 1st, and it's going up 6%, which is huge.
Yeah, it is. And do you get, when we were talking, you talked about a lot about that the paper usually comes from the States. How are you having trouble with COVID coming over the border? Or have any of your borders been stalled at the border?
No, not at all. Not at all. We have had no issues whatsoever.
Okay, mainly because
our standard mill, our standard timelines as far as getting paper from mill, which is basically, we call it Michigan, that type of idea. There's a few others in that particular area, but it's about 4 to 5 days.
Yeah, because you're considered an essential service, you were telling me, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, and I teased him because so are liquor stores. Okay.
Yeah.
And Cecilia just wanted the name of your company again.
Oh yeah, PointOne Graphics.
Okay, thank you.
And one of the things that people want to, if you are looking for, as I say, small items, brochures, postcards, that type of idea, have them check out P1 Express. That's p1express.ca. Go in there and you register, and it's basically, you'll see it. It's self-explanatory. You'll say, okay, if you want a postcard, if you want a business card, if you want a letterhead, if you want a booklet. And the thing about the booklets and that side of it, it's restricted to page count. So if you are going to kind of look at it in there for that, there's certain restrictions. Whereas PointOne Graphics, I have no restrictions as far as page count, number of copies, that type of idea.
Okay, perfect. And again, like I said, if you missed some of the contact information, send me an email at Mississauga Writers Group, info@MississaugaWritersGroup, oneword.com. Okay, another one.
I just noticed a question about if our photos needed to be submitted as JPEGs or embedded in PDF. Yes, if you could have them embedded in the PDFs, that would be great.
Okay. If a book is part text and part illustrations,
yes,
how would we submit it? That's from Francis.
Same way, just as from a single page perspective. That's one of the things that you have to be careful about is when you're getting a quote from someone, if you have 200 pages, your book is 200 pages, or that's what you have classified as 200 pages. What we interpret that is as an impression. So in other words, a sheet has 2 impressions. So 200 pages to me is 100 sheets. So if you have a 400 page book, you have 200 sheets, then that's 400 originals. So just bear that in mind, and always have that as how much is in the inside and plus cover. So in other words, if it was a 48 page plus cover, which is a 4-page cover kind of thing. So that's kind of information I would require in order to give you a proper estimate. And as far as from a color side of things, if you have from page 16 to 38 in color, I would need to know that. And then the balance is in black. Because what happens then is I would create it and say, okay, here's where the color sections are, and here where the black sections are. and I'll be able to give you a price based on that as well.
Would
And I
that,
can also suggest to you, perhaps you might want to maybe move this page to here because you're saving it because it's part of a signature
Yeah.
that, that we print by.
would that be considered like a chapbook? It would have to be in series of 4?
Yes. Yes, in a saddle stitch booklet, it must be in multiples of 4. So if you have anything less, you're going to have to either put a blank page in there or reduce it down, or go to another binding method. When you go to a perfect bound, it's more of a, it doesn't matter what the page count is. It doesn't have to be in multiples of 4.
Yeah.
Because it's done a different way as far as the finishing is concerned.
But
When you have a saddle stitch book, you have a page 1, you have a page 48. Whereas in a perfect bound book, you have a page 1 to page 16, first section, then from 17 to 32, second section. So it goes all the way through that one.
So it's considered in multiples of 4, right?
Correct.
And
When it comes to saddle stitch booklets, absolutely.
No, but what about the other ones where you have a color section? Would that be considered because it's a section?
Yeah, it would be. There again, yeah, it depends on where the colored images are, where the 4 color images are.
Okay, all right.
It's going to affect the price one way or the other. Like I said, there are perfect scenarios that I can give you, and then there are imperfect ones as far as, you have, let's say, 6 pages of black, and then you have 1 color, and then you have another 6 pages of black. That becomes a little bit more difficult because from a pricing perspective, it would be considered all 4 colors.
Okay, the one thing I would, there isn't a question on this, but you would be able to give us a free estimate on a print job before you started?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
You bet. Not a problem.
And Francis wants you to comment on a print on demand. Francis, where are you? Do you want to ask this of Doug?
Yep.
Is she here? Yeah, Francis.
Yes.
Yeah, just making reference to print on.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I can hear you, Francis. Yeah.
Yeah, just tell anything just a bit about it and how
Yeah.
would it compare going to your service?
Sure. Like a print on demand is basically, it's just a term used now because of the fact that people, instead of printing multiple copies of a particular book or magazine or brochure,
Mhm.
they print what they need. So if you only needed 25 books, it may cost you $5 a book, but it's better than printing 100 books or, whatever, because the savings from that to the other is you've got stuff on the shelf where you've already got a sale for the 25 books. So that's what's considered a print on demand.
Mhm.
Okay, do you do any
Okay.
marketing?
Marketing from what perspective?
No, no,
Oh, sorry.
Doug is, yeah, that was from Francis too. And, marketing
Mhm.
has to be the responsibility of the author.
Okay,
He's a printer.
Absolutely.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
A printed page normally has more words than a Word document page. So how do we specify no impressions or number of impressions? That was from Richard. Richard.
I'm sorry, say that one again.
A printed page normally has more words than a Word document page. So how do we specify no number of impressions?
Number of impressions.
Yeah, this is Richard. Go ahead, Richard.
Well, normally say you get roughly 250, 300 words or something on a Word document, but I know like in some cases you can get a lot more words on a printed page. So if I got a 300 page, I think is a 300 page document, I'm not quite sure how to translate that into actual number of impressions or actual pages that would be printed.
Well, have you specified the size of the sheet that you're requiring? For instance, like an 8.5, 11, or a
Yeah,
8,
sorry,
5.5
Word
type
document.
project?
A Word document is normally 8.5, 11, but your book might actually be a 9x6, but it still may have more words on a page than a Word document would have at 8.5 by 11.
Yeah, no,
Maybe about a third
that
or
is something I have too. I have the And I got it off of Amazon when it's a 6x9, how big is the page on the Word document? So if you want more, if it's an 8.5 by 11, you have to reduce the sides and the top and the bottom, because you are using a Word document. Unless the only, yeah, because a PDF, when you take a Word document and put it into PDF, it's what the original Word document was.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you understand my question though, but I'm just trying to say that if you have a 400-page manuscript, it may turn up being a 300-page book.
Yeah, that's not something that I would do, because you basically giving me the final format of the page itself, whether it be a 6x9, 8.5, 11, whatever. So as far as formatting it, I'm not that familiar with Word in that sense, that I don't know if you can format it using a particular size of a page. Can you do that when you?
I don't know. I always use 8.5 by 11, so I don't know. Do you know, anybody else?
A Word document is what you see on the page, on the screen. That's, for it to contain more words on the actual printed page. The only thing that, oh goodness, no, it's what you have on the screen. It won't change once it gets printed, because you're sending them a PDF, and the PDF
Right.
will be with a certain amount of words on the page.
It should be, yeah.
Yeah.
Specified to the 8.5,
Yeah, I
11.
guess I'm confused because I had a book printed, through a traditional publisher, and my manuscript was over 400 pages long. It ended up being a 9x6 trade book, and it's more like 300 pages long. In other words, they're able to put more copy on a page than I had on a Word document.
Well, that could be the font size too, though.
Yeah, it's 12 point, whatever, the normal font size for.
Okay.
I understand fonts vary too in terms of how much space they take.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
12 point is very large.
they've
That's why, yeah, it would probably print in an 8-point or a 9 within that range.
yeah,
Can't
but
see
they
printing on a 12-point.
But would have actually had your Word document.
Yeah, they did, but then they took that and converted it and did the layout and the.
Yeah.
format.
Yeah, that's not something that we would do. Yeah, we ourselves require like high-res PDFs. So it would have to be formatted prior to sending off to me. That's one thing,
Formatted
but
and
we don't do that.
as a PDF though, you're saying. I'm just not quite
Yes.
sure how you convert a 300-page Word per page Word document into a 400-page final PDF, I guess.
They have an awful lot of different, programs too.
They being
So,
what, sorry?
yeah, so it probably wasn't a Word document when it was finally printed,
Yeah, maybe not.
so because a Word, Word is old fashioned, what's on the screen sort of thing. And it was meant for a business, not necessarily an author. You know what I mean? So that when you give it off to somebody else, they can put it in other formats.
Yeah,
So that's what they do. That's what they're used to.
yeah.
Mhm.
All right. But when you send it to a printer like Doug, you send a PDF, and that's what's going to Doug.
So what you
Okay.
see is what you get on the page, is what you're saying.
Yes,
Exactly,
definitely.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
you're responsible for that because you're self-publishing.
It just seems that you might end up with a bigger and thicker book than you need relative to a traditional publisher who's laid it out in a way that's more cost effective in terms of being a 300-page versus a 400-page book.
Yeah, but you're still paying more because you're going through a publisher or a self-publish or an indie publisher.
Yeah, did they give you additional charges, Rick, for that? Did they say, okay, yeah, give us the file and then we will format it?
No.
That's
I
something that's just
didn't pay the publisher a penny. They paid me actually.
But-
Okay, yeah, but only a percentage of whatever.
Yeah, they gave me an upfront royalty.
Right.
Yeah.
But I didn't pay for any editing, copy editing, printing, inventory.
Yeah, but it's still included in whatever the finished product is.
Oh, I understand that.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm just trying to understand, if I submit a PDF as opposed to, then maybe they're using Adobe or some other Illustrator. I don't know.
There's so many programs now.
Yeah.
You know, it's,
You can always send me, you can always send me a couple of pages. Send me a few pages if you want. Just email them to me.
Yeah, when I'm ready.
And I can, I can give it to my pre-press guy and have him generate PDFs from that. And we'll see how it comes, see how it
Well,
looks.
I know how to do PDFs. It's just a question of, I'm just trying to understand how it translates one to the other. That's all.
well, the one thing, if you wanted to see with that, you wouldn't be sending him a PDF with what Doug was just saying right now. You would still send the Word document,
Yeah,
and they would work with the
Right.
Word document.
Right, yeah,
Okay.
okay, when I'm ready, I'll contact you. Thanks.
Oh, perfect.
sure, no problem.
The next question is, would you recommend that people who want to self-publish employ a graphic designer who then works with you?
Yes,
But but he, they don't necessarily work with you.
no,
You'd be recommending.
I'd be recommending a graphic designer. The graphic designer then, takes your thoughts and ideas and puts them on paper, yeah.
Yeah, because
So
your
you are
cover,
going to have to kind of, get in with a designer to assist you with that. But in the overall scheme of things, I mean, when you're going to, doing your standard, going your standard publishing route, as Rick was mentioning, all those costs are borne in there. So the percentage you get back from them, they've got that all in there.
Yeah.
They've got their profit and they've got everything else in there. All we're offering here is just a cheaper service for you as far as from the print aspect. Everything that is before that part is upon yourselves to do that work. It's going to cost you a few dollars more, but in the overall scheme of things, you're actually going to be saving a lot of money.
yeah. But before, with the Mississauga Writers Group, we have yearly anthologies. And when we first put a book together, I do all the formatting, editing, so I save money on that.
Right.
But then I have to, usually I go to Shutterstock to get the front cover. And then I have to send it to my graphic designer. And he puts our name on it, the name of the book on it. He puts a spine in it. And then I always have something for our back cover, because you should never leave that blank. You should always have something on the back cover. And he does all that, and then he sends me the file. And when I need to get it printed, I have the formatted internal parts of the book. Oh, and then, there's also a barcode that has to be done for the back cover. I get the ISBN number, I get the price of the book, and then the barcode is done from that. And so that has to go on my format, or my graphic designer doesn't have that. But I get the, I get the barcode done. And then I send two files to my printer. I send him the internal book part and the cover. And it's just a matter of them working with that. But it's already done. And the original costs are more, but that's it. I don't have to have a graphic designer the next time I get it printed. I don't have to get another barcode unless I've changed the books in some way. So those are the costs that come at the first of preparing a book. But usually once you send it off to a printer, that's a final product, what I call a final product. It's done. So from the next, that print, you may think, oh, I've spent all this money, but the next time you get it printed, you're only going to be, paying for printing costs. You're not going to be paying for anything else. But definitely you need to get a graphic designer, unless you know how thick the spine is on your cover that's getting it ready to be printed, because it's a little bit different. It even has to have a bleed around it, which that's what my graphic designer does. I don't know anything about that, and I don't even want to know. I'm doing enough with the book now So I pay that amount and I get it done. So anything you want to say about that, Doug? You know, you're getting 2 files to Doug.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's
I think,
somebody.
I mean, I think you've hit it right, the nail on the head, Elizabeth. I think you've got it down exactly what has to happen at your end in order to produce, you know, prepare it to give it off to a printer.
Yeah.
Those are the things that you have to do. And as you say, I mean, you are saving a fair amount of money. Or
Yeah.
you're not making as much money as you should be, kind of thing.
Yeah, and you know, the first time you get something printed, it does take, you know, all the preparation, everything to get it to him. But he's only looking at the final version of your product, and he's making the product. That's what it's about. And all the marketing, all the promotions, everything is up to you, because you're doing a self-published book, you know, that is going through a printer. So it's lucky that he only lives not too far away, or he works not too far away. It's in Etobicoke. So that's one thing I wanted to have when I started doing the books for our group, is to have somebody local that I wouldn't have to be paying like $25 a box of books that were coming over the border, and that was just the customs. There's you know, there's also the exchange rate, so there's an awful lot involved. Actually, Doug, we've got half a minute left. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
If anything, anybody comes up with anything after this day kind of thing, whatever, I'm more than happy to assist. If they can send me an email. If I can't do it myself, I'll certainly push them in the right direction. Give them some information that they can use. So,
Okay. And
yeah.
again, if you don't have Doug, you know, if you haven't got his, you know, contact information, send an email to Mississauga Writers Group, and I'll give you his information. All right. Now, who we have now is Belynda, and she's going to be talking about indie publishing. Go ahead, Belynda, talk. All right.
Okay, are you going to ask me questions, Elizabeth, or am I just going to go ahead?
You go ahead and I'll ask you when you're done. Okay, tell me when you're done, and then I'll start with the questions, okay?
Oh, okay.
Just
Okay.
do your bio, and then I'll ask you the questions.
Okay, I'm a self-published author, and I have my book on Amazon, which is titled Secrets in Silence. And I am a member of Toastmasters and the Mississauga Writers Group, and I'm currently working on my second novel titled Secrets and Sorrow. Back to you.
Okay, hold on. I was so well prepared, I didn't even open up. I did all of Doug's, but not yours. Who are you to me? All right, the first question is, you are a self-published author. How was the overall experience?
The experience for me was really great. It took me a long time to get there. I've been writing this book since 2012, and my son would pop his head in the door and he'd say, "Mom, are you going to publish that?" And I would shrug my shoulders and he would go away, and then he would pop in again. And finally I said, "Yes, I think I will." And then he said, "Well, when?" So I said, May 29th of 2020. Of course, May 29th came, and I didn't have my book published, but I did have my final draft completed. And it was on the August long weekend. I said, okay, I was really intimidated by the self-publishing and putting it on Amazon. So August long weekend, I was going to see if I could actually do this, because I had a lot of people saying, well, we could do this for you for a fee. And I figured, well, I might have to pay the fee, but I was going to see if I could do it myself. So I had written my novel, not in Word, but in another program, and then uploaded it to Word. So it was a formatting mess. But in Word, you can get rid of all your formatting, and I reformatted it. I had a printout of exactly how they want it for Amazon. I formatted it exactly how they said they wanted, single space, etc. I did that. I uploaded it to Kindle Create, and it worked perfectly. And then I had to choose what format I have, because they had about, let's say, 4 different ways that your interior of your book could be formatted. I chose one. That worked. They told me that I could make my table of contents. That worked. And finally, I was able to actually put my ebook onto the Amazon platform, and it showed me how it would look. And it wasn't perfect because I had 1 and 2 lines that were on the end of my chapters, and so I had to go back and figure out how I had to, remove a couple lines or whatever, or add. So I thought it would look good as you finish the chapter. I uploaded my cover. That looked good. And then I decided, I had set my publishing date for September 5th of 2020 for the ebook. And then I started working on the print book. And I have what I call potato chip chapters. So I didn't want to have a table of contents because I thought it would look ridiculous to have 82 chapters in my print book. So I didn't put the table of contents in it, but when I uploaded it also to the Amazon platform, it looked pretty good, but I had to, now you see, they're not exactly the same. So now I had to fix my chapters for the print book. And I had made my cover from I had gotten a template, but I didn't know how wide my spine was going to be, because when I was doing it, I wasn't completely finished. So I had a little bit of trouble, but my son helped me to make my cover large enough. I uploaded that, and that worked good. And my book went live, the print book went live August 29th of 2020, and the ebook went live on September 5th. So I just want to mention what I think Rick was talking about. I took my Word document, I uploaded it to Kindle Create. Kindle Create turned it into a 6:9 formatted book. And that's the step that somebody is doing for him as a publisher. They're doing it if you're an indie. And so Amazon is doing it for me. And I didn't pay for that, because every book I sell, they get a piece and I get a piece. So his publisher did that. And if he wanted to publish his book independently through Doug, he would have to get whoever that middle person is that does that formatting, and it would have to be in a PDF form that Doug could print from. So I think that that's the missing piece. Somebody does that formatting. There's a program. Amazon has one. That's what I used. His traditional publisher has one they use. You have to find whoever has it. There might be one out there that you can purchase. I don't know, but there's something that goes from and it's still a PDF. Like, it is still a PDF that is being uploaded to Amazon, but it's not the Word document. Like, you don't take your Word document straight. So, and I thought that it would be really hard to get my Word document formatted for Amazon, but I did it in a long weekend. So if I could do it, anyone could do it. Now, I do have a techie son, so that helps, but I could do it, anyone can do it.
Good. Yeah, I've got somebody, my techie person from my personal life is called my grandson. What are the different marketing or promotional strategies that you are expected to do as a self-publisher?
Well, as a self-publisher, I could do nothing and no one can tell me any different, because I'm actually the CEO of my own little empire here, and that has its good points and bad, of course. So the best promotional avenue I think you can take, publish your next book. But I did do a few things. I joined Toastmasters in 2016 because if I was lucky enough that someone wanted to interview me, I wanted to be able to sound intelligent. And I joined the writers group because being a part of a group of people who are further down the road than you are, I think is excellent. And my son was pressuring me. He said, Mom, an author needs a blog. So I started a blog in 2018 to create a social presence. And I have, since I published, been on 2 author-to-author podcasts. And for the one that was live, I did press releases through free newspaper ads. So that's a few of the things that I've done. Oh, and I'm part of Facebook groups, Goodreads, and LinkedIn, where I post my blog. And so those are the avenues that I've used.
For me, as the head of the Mississauga Writers Group, I start going to city meetings too, because there's an awful lot going on in your city or your town. So it's good to access something like that because you're meeting all sorts of people there. What is the difference between indie and traditional publishing?
Okay, I look at an indie author as someone who takes control of their own writing career. Now, there might be people who take it a lot further than I do, but I feel it's your career and you're deciding what you're going to do with it. You are no longer begging and pleading a publisher to publish your book. Not saying you might not be happy. If you're lucky, like Rick, and a traditional publisher wants to pay you in advance, cover all the costs, and then pay you royalties, I'm up for that. But I haven't had anyone knock on my door yet. So I've decided I'm already published, working on my second book, and I'm going to see where it goes, because I'm pretty sure if I didn't bother to do anything, maybe it wouldn't go anywhere. And that's what we can do as indie publishers. We can decide we've written a book. It's good enough for people to read. We have something to say. Let's put it out in the world and see if somebody wants to read it. So, and the thing with the difference between an indie publisher like what I did, I put it on a platform. So I didn't have to pay someone, because I would love to use Doug's service, but I don't have anyone who wants to buy my books. And right now there's no avenue you can use to sell them. So I don't have to have any inventory. I don't have to pay for storage fees. I don't pay for the shipping of the books myself. That's all handled. I just get paid royalties for what gets sold. So for someone just starting out who doesn't have a place where they're going to go, seminars, if you had seminars and you were going to sell 150 books at your seminar, I think you go knock on Doug's door and say, okay, how much would it cost you to give me some books that I can sell at this seminar? But until you get that way, maybe the indie publishing platforms might be the way to go. So that's kind of how I look at it.
Okay. Who and where are the different indie publishers?
Okay, Elizabeth, now this is the big question. And I have a lot of information here, and I doubt that we have time for me to give you all of it. So here are the big indie platforms. So Amazon Kindle is the biggest one, and they will publish ebooks, soft cover print on demand books, and audiobooks, and Audible is owned by Amazon. Ingram Sparks publishes ebooks, hardcover and softcover on-demand books, and audiobooks, and they make titles available to 40,000 retailers, libraries, schools, and e-commerce companies, including Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Indigo, Foyles, Waterstone, and more across the globe. Then there is Nook Press. So Nook Press is the self-publishing service through Barnes & Noble, and can be used for ebooks, softcover, hardcover, print-on-demand books, and audiobooks. Now, Kobo is only for ebooks and audiobooks, and they sell 30% of the ebooks that are sold, but only about 20% of the books sold in Canada are ebooks. And Kobo now also has its own all-you-can-read subscription. So the next one is Google Play, and you can publish ebooks and audiobooks on Google Play. And then there's Apple iBooks. And Apple iBooks is only for ebooks. From what I understand, this is the hardest platform to publish on. And if you want to have your audiobooks on Apple iBooks, you will need to work with one of their preferred partners to publish and manage your audiobooks. So there are many guides on the internet on who you should go with. If you go with Amazon and you want to go on their Kindle Unlimited program, which means if somebody reads one page on their Kindle Unlimited, you actually get paid for that. And some authors find that they make quite a lot of royalties because of the Kindle Unlimited program, and some authors say it doesn't do anything for them at all. So, but you can't publish your ebooks on any other platform if you're in Kindle Unlimited. But it's only a 90-day agreement that you have. So every 90 days it rolls over. But if you want to get out, you just have to wait for your 90 days and then you can publish it. But if you put your book on other platforms, and let's say you were doing pretty well with Kindle Unlimited and now they find out you're on Kobo, they might kick you and all your books off their Kindle Unlimited and not let you back on. They're quite serious about this. So use it if it works for you, but don't think that they won't know. It seems like they will know. Now, how much time do I have for this question? I have a lot more information, or
about a half hour.
Oh,
But
hey,
that's including questions from the chat line.
okay, so we don't want to use it all up.
No.
So there are other companies, and I'm going to go through 3 of them, and they will take your files and they will upload them to these different platforms. Of course, they do it for a fee. So these 3 companies are Smashwords, Draft2 Digital, and Publish Drive. And there's a lot of posts out there that will compare Smashwords and Digital Drive and Publish Drive to telling you which one they think is better. Now, one of the things with Smashwords is it is the largest distributor of ebooks to libraries. And because of this, they are worth considering. And they also make it easy. If you are working with people who are affiliate marketers and they want to sell your books on their site, Smashwords is, you would go through them. And they also make it so that if you wanted to offer coupons for email promotions, they are who you would go with. Now, there was one thing that I forgot to mention, and that was if you publish on any of the platforms, the big platforms, they are all free except for Ingram Spark. And Ingram Spark charges you $49. So it won't break the bank, but it isn't free. So you can see that you have quite a bit of choice. You can either do it all by yourself, or you can get these companies, these 3 companies to help you. But there's a whole lot more of companies. You know where the money's being made right now? Companies helping authors publish their books. That's where the money's being made. So there's a lot of help, but you need to know what you are expecting, what they are offering, and what you are signing. So if you sign up with Smashwords, they will take 15% of your net sales. Draft2 Digital takes 15% of your net sales. Publish Drive do not take royalties. They charge an upfront fee. So you are going to get a royalty if you were on Kobo or Sparks Ingram or Amazon or any of the other ones. And now if these companies put you on those platforms, they're going to take an additional piece of your royalties. So you need to make sure how much you're going to actually be left with, you know, at the end of all this. So the Indie Assist companies, these are the companies that are going to take your files and they are going to hand you back a book. And I've got 2 here that I'm going to profile. And Tellwell, the first one, is located in Victoria, BC. And they have a few packages. So they have a standard package of $1,499. This gives you a front cover, a back cover, a spine cover, an interior layout, and comprehensive paperback distribution to 39,000 booksellers worldwide. And then they have a professional package for $2,999. And this includes a cover design, interior layout, distribution in paperback, hardcover, and the major ebook platforms. They help craft your book marketing strategy and create a book backgrounder. Now you may ask, what's a book backgrounder? Well, it's a press release. So then they have their all-inclusive package of $4,999, which is everything in the previous package, plus an editorial evaluation, copy editing up to 75,000 words, and they will build you an author's website. And then they have another package, which is for $9,999, which includes 3 rounds of edit content, copy editing, and a post layout proofread, full marketing support, author's website, backgrounder, and marketing outreach. They also do children's books. They have, if you go on their website, which is quite comprehensive, they have quite a few different illustrators that they profile, and you would choose which one you wanted to work with. If you go for a more basic illustration, it will be cheaper. So if you don't want to pay Tellwell royalties, you will have to pay an additional $500. Otherwise, they will get royalties on your books. Now, they bill themselves as supporting indie authors, 100% royalties, 100% transparency. And you can reach Scott Loon at Tellwell, and his phone number, if anyone's interested, is 1-888-415-1541, or scott@tellwell.ca. So the second one is Friesen Press, which is also located in Victoria, BC. And their number is 1-888-378-6793. And their email address is publishing@friesenexpress.com. And they have a website that gives a breakdown of their services. So their publishing pass starts at $21.99, and then they have $4,999, one for $9,999, and one for $14,999. So this just gives you an idea. If you just want to take your book, and most of these prices do not include editing. So, and for $14,999, you get some editing. That may not be all the editing that you want. You retain 100% copyright ownership from both companies, and with Friesen Press, you receive 97% of your royalties. So that's just a brief overview. And then I have another company I wanted to profile. They are an online author service marketplace, and they provide book production services to authors in the self-publishing industry. And this company is called Reedsy. They are located in London, England, and they are completely online, and they have people working for them located all through the world. And this is not for you if you want to just hand your book over, but if you just want a service, 1 or 2 services, you might want to look into them. They are in American dollars. So they charge a 10% fee and a 2.9% payment processing fee. So their average cost of a combo cover plus interior design is $1,250 in US dollars, and 64% of their business comes from the US. So there was an article that I read called, "I hired a pro on Reedsy to edit my book. Was it worth it?" And she says it was worth it. And she would have, but she says she would have been better if she had paid for a developmental edit, because she thought she was further along her editing process than she really was. So if you've gone and paid for a line editing, and you're looking after the commas and the capitalization, and then you find out that you're going to restructure your whole book, well, all that line editing that you paid for was actually a waste. So you have to make sure when you're paying for editing that you know what you need, and you're paying for what you need, and that you can use it. So there is another company, which is really a group of companies. And this is Author Solutions. And if you're online looking, you will come across this company. And I know some authors, not well, but I know some authors who have used them, and they have been happy to hold their book in their hand. It's expensive. And the companies underneath Author House are iUniverse, Trafford Publishing, Zlibris, Polibrio, Book Tango, and they also work with traditional book publishers. So they have the indie part, which is Archway Publishing, Westbow Press, Balboa Press, which is part of Hay House, Inspiring Voices, and Abbott Press. So I don't know how much of your royalties they keep. I didn't get into Author Solutions too much, but they're out there, and they are, of course, looking to help authors to put their books out. So that gives you a basic overview. There's a lot more information out there, but that gives you a little bit of an overview. Okay, Elizabeth, back to you.
Okay, I just want to remark on one thing she said about Apple. Apple is in the States, but it's also in Canada here. And it's the one that I've had the most sales on. I was lucky that my graphic designer loves Apple, and he did all my conversion for me. I've sold books in Australia, in Asia, in England, and in the States. So it's really good if you can make it onto that site. I've just been teasing Doug, I just got a check from them for $2.45. Not a check, but it went straight into my bank account, and I've offered to take him out to dinner tonight. So we'll see what happens there. So he said we can share a donut. All right, there's the next two questions. You covered off quite a bit of it. So the next question is, why indie publishing, and where can we find indie published books?
So I have covered it. Yeah. So indie publishing, it's what we can do. We can put our book out into the world. We can find out if we have anyone who wants to write it. We can join the writing group, and we can try to build our platform while we write our next book to build our catalog. So, and one of the things that made a big difference to me was there is an essay out called 1,000 True Fans by Kevin Kelly. And that's what he's saying that we can do. You don't have to become the bestseller. You don't have to sell 1 million copies. You need to get some people who will read your first book, who will buy your second book, who will maybe recommend it to their book club or their mother or their aunt. And over time, you build a network of people who say, oh yeah, I've heard of her. Have you read her book? It's pretty good. And as you add to your catalog, you will get more and more readers. And the indie publishing, they seem to really do well if you write a series or at least a sequel, because then someone can have read your first book, and when your second one comes out, they say, oh, okay, I'll read that. Or a series, they might catch you on book 6, but they have 5 more books that they might read. So that's one of the ways that you can try to build your readership. And I just think indie publishing, because you can do it and you're not going out there, please, please publish my book. We don't have to beg. And actually, if we actually turn into something, we might have them begging us if they couldn't please publish our work and find a wider readership.
Yeah, they usually take all sorts of genres, as opposed to the traditional publishers that are very restricted in their genres. Now, the last question, and you've got only about 2.5 minutes. You have a blog. Why did you start it, and how do you think writing a blog has helped you?
I started a blog because my son pressured me into it, and I'm glad he did. I had no idea what I would write. But I did, after I read about the 1,000 True Fans, I thought, well, a blog might help me get a few fans. And I have found my readership has doubled every year. So I started in 2018. I found the more I write, the more I have to say, because I was worried, well, what would I say? And I wrote every day, almost every day for the first 500 posts. And then I cut down to 2 posts a week because I didn't have enough time for my other writing. So, but what it did for me is I had to write every day. I had to have a beginning, I had to have a middle, I had to have an ending. I had to come up with a photograph. I had to come up with quotes. And actually, if I were to print all of those posts out, I have over 700 of them. It's a good amount of writing. And it does give me a bit of a presence. So I'm so happy that I did it. I think it has helped me be a better writer. I think it has helped me to articulate my ideas. It has helped me to know what I think about certain things. And everyone should write a blog. It's one of the things I'm most proud of, actually.
The one thing, being in Mississauga, we have the Peel Weekly News. And I was very fortunate that they came to us and were talking to us because they needed people to write in their newspaper. And I ended up writing every week, and it's about the genre of my personal books, which is about meditation, which I taught in continuing ed and at the different school boards and in the library too. So it was the best thing possible. And those are the things that you should go out and get, you know, a blog or an article that you can be writing for a newspaper or even a magazine, you know, just get yourself out there. And for our writing group too, we have an e-zine, we have anthologies throughout the year. So it's really great that I get people, and I'm so lucky I've gotten people to write in them. So everything is an experience. It's practice, practice, practice. So, and that's what Belynda is talking about too. So, okay, our first question, and Belynda is from our group too, Mississauga Writers Group. So if you need to contact her, contact me and I'll forward everything to her. Any advice where to publish adult coloring book? I have created a 100-image coloring book and self-published on Amazon, but only get about 5 sales.
I have no advice, but maybe have you thought of trying to get into nursing homes and places like that? Because that might be some of the places where the people have time, they have maybe interest. That's one of the avenues that I would maybe look at.
Yeah, okay. The next one is, I am trying to get my book approved on Kendo Direct Publishing. My book wouldn't approve. What do you recommend?
Okay, so you have a problem. Now, it didn't approve because they don't like your content, or it wouldn't approve because you have something that isn't quite right. And you have to figure out why. Like I had a problem getting my cover, but it didn't actually go to them. But it tells you if you have a problem, and it told me what the problem was. So you need to find out what your problem is. I didn't find any problems that were hard to solve, but I know that they do have to approve your book before it goes live. So if it's something that your book is perfectly formatted and it's them not approving it, then maybe there's something in it. And we have to be very careful with what we put into our books right now. There could be something that maybe they don't like. I don't know.
Okay. What are the best self-publishing platforms you recommend?
Well, I gave you, I think, 6, and those are what I would recommend. Those are what I know about. The thing was, I don't think it is picking a platform. You have to get yourself out there. You have to make it so that either you're going to have something that is so like 50 Shades of Grey that it just kind of almost jumps out at people and they're recommending it like crazy, or you're a celebrity, or you're going to build your own readership somehow. So the magic platform, try Apple. It's working for Elizabeth, but I don't know that I think there is one.
Yeah, it's It's whatever you sounds good to you, and but again, it's buyer beware on when you're starting to put out money for things that different publishers and that are looking at. So Richard recommended Scrivener formats to ebook format and to a 9:6 format. So that's Scrivener. Yeah, I've heard of it. And so Susan was saying Scrivener is awesome. So look up Scrivener, SCRIVNER, and see if that will work for you when you're doing some of the formatting.
I could just jump in for a sec. I just started
Yeah, go
using
ahead.
Scrivener, and I didn't realize, I just went now and looked, and they actually do the automatic formatting for you once you're finished your manuscript.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Scrivener is about $69, a one-time fee, and it's absolutely worth it. They have a lot of very powerful writing tools in there. They allow you to highlight every verb, every adjective,
Yep.
whatever. They are also very flexible in terms of the formatting stuff. Anyways.
Yeah, there's an awful lot of new you know, kinds of programs out there for everything now. You just have to look for it. But Scrivener I've heard about. Okay, Belynda, I would like to connect with at HUNYA Travels on Instagram. Okay, maybe I'll copy that so that I've got it for you. Yeah, and the next one is love that, Belynda, my own CEO. Wonderful to see you here and speaking about your experiences. It's Steve Elliott. Do you know him?
We met at Mississauga Writers Group.
Oh, okay. All
Yeah.
right. So I must have met him too. All right. Does Amazon or Kendo do any marketing advertising for you? Can I ask how many books you have sold on ebooks and in the flesh books?
I have sold more print books than ebooks, and my amount is not huge. And what was the first part of the question?
Oh, wait a second. I'm trying to get this down. Okay. Let me get back to that. All right. I would like to, okay. Does Amazon or Kendo do any marketing or advertising for you?
Well, they don't. I think you can pay them. You can almost pay anyone, but I don't know how effective it is, and I have not gone with any paid advertising. I don't know if it would work, but I haven't done it.
But they usually, when you think about it, they've got everything on their screen. So they've got, you know, they're advertising it on different books too. You know, if you bring up, like mine is self-help. So they would bring up my books on Amazon because mine are on there, but they would also bring up other books on.
Oh, they do that.
Yeah.
Yes. If you type in my book, you'll see, I don't know, let's say 10, 12, whatever the whole page is of other books that come up at the same time. So yes, that will totally happen. I'm not trying to make it sound like they're not doing anything. I'm just saying I haven't paid for any paid advertising. Amazon does quite a lot. And one of the things to get yourself more, Amazon to help you out more, get people to put a review on Amazon. I think if you watch, your ranking, even if you have sold no more new copies, will go up if you get a review. So reviews are key.
Yeah, because that shows somebody else is looking at Amazon too.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead. All right. Let me get the next. What are the best free self-publishing websites you recommend?
I mentioned Amazon. Ingram Sparks is not free, but $49 is, you know, not bad. Apple, Kobo, Nook Press, Google Play. I think those are the ones.
Okay, I'm on Balboa, and
Right,
I had to sign a contract and pay a certain amount, and it was a few thousand. I remember I was still working So that was one of them, but that's about self-help. That's connected with Hay House. So that was my genre. What was the name of the second mentioned indie publisher after Amazon? Do you know?
Ingram Spark.
Okay, and somebody, yeah, they already got the answer from somebody else. I have been pleased with Trimetrics Management Consulting Inc. in Oakville, Ontario. I have used their professional services for all 4 of my picture books. And that's Kathleen talking about Trimetrics. All right, so there are other ones around. You just have to look around. And there are more coming up too. This is from Kathleen. What type of picture books do you create? From Francis. Oh, Francis is asking Kathleen, what type of picture books did you create? And Francis is in Mississauga Writers Group too. So if you want to, if you know, if you want to answer and talk to Francis, then I'll forward an email to her. Kevin Kelly, essay book, please. Okay.
Oh,
What is this about, Elaine?
oh, just to repeat, the name of Kevin Kelly's was mentioned, Kevin Kelly. The name.
Oh,
His essay is 1,000 True Fans, and you can get it on the internet.
okay.
Thanks. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, the Mississauga newspaper again is the Peel Weekly News. It comes on email weekly. It's a weekly one.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Yes. Thanks.
There's something, yeah, 2,000 True Fans, Kevin Kelly, an experience with Wattpad or similar platforms, and is it worth it? That's from David.
I have not had any experience with them.
Yeah, every program has its ups and downs sort of thing. I've been lucky that I've worked in an office, so I worked with the Microsoft programs. So I stick with the Microsoft. Okay, hi Francis, my picture books are available in libraries, Amazon, and you can check them out on the website, which is www.skippingstonepress.net. What royalty does Amazon take?
Well, it depends. If you publish your ebook between $2.99 and $9.99, they will pay you 70% royalty.
Okay.
And your print book as well, but you have to also pay for the printing before you get your royalty. But yeah, they're pretty good, the royalties.
Yeah. Okay, that's the last question on the chat line. Would you just like to sum up everything, Belynda?
Okay. Les Brown tells us that life is a fight for territory. And I think that pretty much sums up what being an indie author is, because when you put your book on a platform, you have staked your territory. You said, I'm an author. And it wasn't until I got to hold my own book in my own hand, and I don't think it matters whether it's traditionally published, indie published, or you go to a trade publisher, when you hold your own book in your own hand, that is your creation. That is something that you did. And that is a big accomplishment. So you don't know who you might help by putting your book out there. You don't know what aha moment they might get when they read what you've written. But if you don't put it out there, nobody gets anything, and nor do you. So I think that what you should do is take a chance, make a difference in your own life and perhaps someone else's. And people love a good story. So don't deprive them of yours.
Thank you, Elizabeth, Doug, and Belynda. This has been such an informative presentation. Unfortunately, we're out of time for our panel discussion on self and indie publishing, but I'd like to send a huge thank you to TD Bank Group for sponsoring today's panel, and to Courtney Park Writers Group and Mississauga Writers Group for the development of the content of this workshop series. Also, a big thank you to everyone who joined us today. We hope you've enjoyed the workshop.